Donald Trump facing a host of global military hotspots as he prepares for the presidency. Iran's supreme leader threatening retaliation if the U.S. breaks the nuclear deal. And at least 20 people were just killed on the border of India and Pakistan, both, of course, nuclear powers. Then there's North Korea conducting more nuclear tests. And China and Japan escalating their military presence along key oil shipping routes. Joining me now to discuss, Fox News military analyst Captain Chuck Nash. Captain Nash, you know, we talk about ISIS a lot. That dominates sort of our headlines and our thinking with respect to the biggest threats out there. But there are some serious global hotspots that could boil over into something immense. And I want to kind of go over them with you. First, let's start with Iran, because they are threatening now to, some form of retaliation if that nuclear deal is scuttled. And I think Donald Trump is seriously determined to ditch it and maybe get something better.
Well, he may be, and, the Ayatollah Khamenei may think he's got the upper hand in this, but he's going to test a new president, and I can pretty much guarantee you this new president is not going to blink because it's not in his character, and that would set off the next 4 years on the downhill slide. So the Ayatollah better be as careful as his predecessor, the Ayatollah Khomeini, was in dealing with President Reagan when he came in. The hostages were released that were taken during the Carter years. So the Iranians better be careful not to overplay their hand on this one.
What would we do, though? I mean, I remember a few years ago we made Israel made that strategic strike. It feels like all the experts are saying they are so advanced in some of these with respect to the nuclear program, they're not even sure they can derail it or stall it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, since the Obama administration removed most of the sanctions, the leverage that we have over Iran is vastly diminished, especially in the areas of banking and finance, where they need that access to foreign capital. They've got a deal on the books right now where the Obama administration is going to allow Boeing to sell aircraft in there. A lot of things can be done quickly, but not as were advertised with the snapback. That was a total ruse. There are no snapback sanctions that could be put in place, but there are other things that could be done in the international banking community that could hurt the Iranians, as well as pressure in places where they think they've got leverage right now, such as Yemen and Syria.
Donald Trump obviously running on the program, on a platform rather, of unleashing our energy. Saudi Arabia already worried about this, and they're talking about some form of retaliation. I know they've never been the best of our friends, and even using that word, you have to use it loosely. What the heck would they do to harm America, or would it be our friends like in Israel?
Well, it could be against Israel. It could be unleashing terrorist attacks on U.S. interests overseas or in the United States. The Quds Force is very active, and the Iranians just signed a deal with the Egyptians to supply them with oil, as opposed to the Egyptians buying their oil from Saudi Arabia. So there are a lot of things they could do. Of course, they could really be stupid if they wanted to and do another mining operation in the Gulf, as was done a decade or so ago, and that wound up with the Iranians losing the vast majority of their naval forces.
Let me ask you about Pakistan and India. India is our close friend, but they're both allies to a degree. They both have nuclear weapons. What's going to happen there?
That is a dead man's standoff, because both of them know that if this thing ever does escalate beyond Kashmir, that both are nuclear armed and both have an intense hatred of the other. So unfortunately, this is going to be the heat and friction along that tectonic plate that is that valley there in Southwest Asia between the two countries that both of them claim. And the other thing is that of interest is that India just signed a nuclear agreement.
Captain Nash, you got to leave it there, sir.
Okay.
All right. Lou Dobbs next.